What's up, guys? Thank you for joining us for this show. I'm your host of the Athletes Grind podcast, Ray Thompson, and I kind of want to give you some insight about the Athletes Grind really quick. The Athletes Grind podcast organization is a nonprofit organization looking to give student athletes, whether it be in elementary school, middle school, high school, the exposure they need to make it to the next level. It will really help out if you guys hit that subscribe button to share with everyone, our student athletes who are doing great things, not only on the field, but off the field as well. And absolutely hit that like button if you like what you see. Thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy the show. All right, welcome to the Athletes Grind, presented to you by Five Star Athletics. Man, we got a special guest with us today. I'm so pleased. It's kind of my Christmas gift, guys. We got defensive coordinator Joe Ballard from Chaminade, Madonna, a high school down there in Hollywood, Florida. Coach Ballard, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on the show today. I'm very thankful for it.
All right, absolutely, Coach. So before we get into everything, Coach, for our fans, for our followers, for defensive coordinators around the country that's been getting some of your players there at Chaminade, just go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, as far as your history in football, where you started, where you are now. Just kind of give us a brief rundown for us, Coach. And also your playing days there at Dillard and also in college. So if you kind of give us a history of yourself, greatly appreciate that, Coach.
Okay, I started playing football at the age of like 5, all the way Lauder Hill flag team. Then I moved over to the Western Tigers, which I don't think they're around no more, but they used to be a very good program ran by Johnny Alexander.
Yes.
And a mentor of mine, Otis Reagan, who taught me a lot about football. Then I moved on to Dillard High School where, I had a great head coach at Ken Scott. He's still someone I could reach out to if I have anything to talk about. Moved on to Western Michigan, played 4 years there. Then I came home, I worked a little bit, and then I got introduced to high school coaching through my friend now who coached at Carter and Gibbons, Rod Parker. So I started out at Boyd Anderson High School, coached there for a couple of years, moved on to Dillard High School where I was still the defensive back coach there. Then I became the DC at Piper High School under Coach Coleman. Coach Coleman, who's also a great guy. And then Coach Tate, Coach Jones, they invited me on to run the defense over at Chaminade. And that's why I'm at today. Been there the last 5 years.
Absolutely, Coach. I appreciate that. And Coach, for being a defensive coordinator at Chaminade, you guys are ranked number 24 by Max Preps in the country. And we're going to get into that. But before we do get into that, Coach, you just give us a breakdown of your defensive staff, your linebackers coach, and, who you have on your staff right now. Who you want to shout out, Coach?
Man, I'm blessed with an amazing defensive coaching staff. I'll start with Darren Smith. He played at the University of Miami, won 2 national championships with the University of Miami. He also won 2 Super Bowls with the Dallas Cowboys. So blessed to have him on staff. He's an amazing coach. All of them amazing coaches. Then I have Torrey Cox. He also played in the NFL. Went to Miami Northwestern. He's a legend down there in Miami. He's our defensive backs coach. Then my coach, my D-line coach is great. Coach Pierre does a good job with the defensive line. And my other linebacker coach is Coach Greg Smith. He's also my eyes upstairs on game day. So those are some amazing coaches that help us be who we are.
Yeah, I would say so, Coach. That sounds like an amazing staff, and you being a leader there of the defensive staff, you've done a great job. And Coach, talk a little bit about, you talked about your days. You're a standout defensive back over at Dillard High School, and you went on to Western Michigan and played some great ball there. But talk about, the ability not only to play, be a standout in high school and not as well as, college. How does that really help you teach your defensive players being where they are? You've been there before, and you've been where they want to go in college, play college ball. So what do you do Coach, what do you bring to the table as far as how can you help them when you've been in that same situation before? What do you give? What advice do you give to them?
But that's how I coach. I coach through teaching. I use football to teach these young men the game of life. And being that I went to Western Michigan, I had to grow up and become a man up there because I wasn't somewhere where it was a phone call away, so I had to kind of figure it out. I had to grow up a little bit. And I always tell my kids when I'm coaching, man, you're going to have to grow up. And what helped me is we had guys that did the same thing at Dillard, like the Leonard Myers and stuff, and they would always come back and help us out. Coach Ken Scott, who I mentioned earlier, he used to talk to us about when we go off to college, trying to raise men, and I try to do that as well. We always, and our whole coaching staff trying to do it, we just trying to raise men. Because right now, this day and age, it's so easy for these kids. If you can see the transfer portal, as soon as a little adversity hit, they want to get in the transfer portal and they want to run for things. But life can't always be like that because once you finish college or once you finish football, you can't run from job to job and job to job or relationship to relationship to relationship. You got to figure it out one day and you got to become a man. So that's
absolutely. Great words of wisdom, Coach. And Coach, talking about those athletes, Sean and I get some of the best athletes in the state of Florida, also the country, Coach. But talk about what type of athletes do you look for to fit your defensive scheme, Coach?
That's a good question to ask because basically the athletes that we have at the building, it molds our defensive scheme. My defensive scheme is usually different every year based on who we have in the building. I just been blessed these last couple of years that I had like with Jamal and K2 them. They've been there since their freshman year, so they knew the defense like the back of their hand. But the first year I was there, we was a cover 4 defense. Then one year we was a cover 3, and then the next year we was a defense that sent a lot of pressure. So based on who you have in the building is what is going to cause your defense. So this offseason, we got to figure out what type of defense we're going to be. We may not be able to be that same defense last year because I don't have them 2 defensive ends no more that's bringing pressure. I didn't have to bring that much pressure this year because they was getting pressure with this bringing 4, so I could sit back in my zones and do what I do. But this year we may have to bring pressure, but we have to figure all that out spring. And that's the fun part about coaching.
Right. And Coach, I wouldn't be remiss if I didn't go more into that. You're talking about a different defensive scheme every year, predicated on the players that you have. That's huge, Coach. Yeah. Just the ability to be able to adapt to the players, not the players adapt to the scheme. So talk a little bit more about that. Was it always like that for you, just running different defenses? How did you educate yourself on the many defenses that you do run and are able to run?
Just like it goes back to my high school days and college days. I was blessed to have 2 different defensive back coaches, and they were both good defensive back coaches in college. One of them actually is the defensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns right now, Joe Woods. He's really one guy that really taught me the game, how to break down film, how to know how offense is trying to attack you and all that type of stuff. So he always told me, don't be complacent. Don't just be single-minded. Don't be a defense coordinator that just want to blitz, or just play zone. Be multiple, learn the game. So I want to learn cover 4, cover 3, cover 2, zone blitzes, man blitzes. I want to learn it all. Now that helps me. And also going back to what I said earlier, I heard guys like Torrey Cox that's teaching me. I'm willing to learn from them. Darren Smith, willing to learn from them. I'm always trying to learn. I don't never want to stop learning because once I stop learning, that's going to be the beginning of my downfall because the game evolves. It evolves. And also you'll see now that where the game will go back, where they was doing something 10 years ago, and you'll start seeing it again, coming back. So you always want to stay on top of that type of stuff. And that helps me with becoming one of the a good defense.
Right.
Because now, based on my players, we see, okay, we can't play man-to-man. We don't have the defensive back still to play man-to-man, but they're great zone guys. So let's put them in the right spots to make those plays. Or I don't have a D-line that's getting pressure. So we have to maybe send 5 or send 6 to get that quarterback pressure. So it's all based on the scheme. So I'm just blessed to be able to do.
And Coach, Yeah, and Coach, you talk about that, and I think if I have the records right, and I'm just going back since 2018, you guys have won 3 out of the last 4 state championships. A little hiccup last year, but 3 out of the last 4 championships, and we kind of see why with the defensive scheme. Where teams are going back looking at film, but you're not running that defense that you ran last year. You're running a different defense. So we're definitely going to get.
Secret. Don't tell too much people. I know this is a podcast. So some games we know if we jump out early in the game, we'll run a basic defense that we know we're not going to run against the next opponent. We'll just put it on film. So when they break it down film, they have a certain scheme that we're not even going to run against them. So it's fun because football. I feel like it's chess, not checkers. So you got to try to stay one step ahead of your opponent.
Right, absolutely, Coach, absolutely, and you talk about that. That kind of reminds me of a New England Patriots type scheme, where they always switch it up. One week they're gonna run the ball, another week they're gonna throw the ball. One week they're gonna blitz, and another week they're gonna sit in zone. So, that was what that reminds me of it. And Coach, speaking of that, your program there, the defensive coordinator at Chaminade, Madonna High School, and down there in Hollywood, Florida. Speak a little bit about your facilities, your weight rooms, other accommodations that you have for the players, because you guys are a private school and you're able to get a lot of students in there. So for the players that want to come play for Chaminade, who are maybe a junior or a senior or maybe an incoming freshman, talk a little bit about your facilities at Chaminade that are able to help the player get to the next level.
Believe it or not, we really don't get that many seniors. We really don't. The school really doesn't allow seniors like that, so we may get 1 or 2 seniors. And plus, we like young guys, so we hopefully you could come in your 9th grade year. If not, if your 9th grade year, come in your 10th grade year. That way you could build that bond, that family bond with each other. So we really like to get them young, so you can mold them into your system. Think about it. By the time you become a senior, you're not going to be able to get that bond in 1 year, know. But as far as the facilities, the weight room is big. Weight room is big, man. We try to change those guys' bodies, and we let them understand that if you hit that weight room, it prevents injuries throughout the year, And so that's definitely something that we try to manage. Now, our weight room, it's a nice size. So what we try to do is we try to get the skilled guys in together, and we all then, once they're done with the weight room, they'll go on the field, then the big guys will come in. Or we'll have defense left one day, then and it's the off season, and then offense may left the next day and stuff like that. But the off season training is really huge, and I mean it's supposed to be voluntary, but they know if they miss, the coaches know who's the guys missing. So when the season comes, we know that you wasn't in the weight room. Put it that way.
And Coach, talking about those players, because, down here in South Florida, you have, oh my goodness, so many programs, great youth league football programs, Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes, PAL over in Plantation, you got the Pompano Eagles, you got the Miami Gardens Ravens, the Chiefs. It's so many great programs, down here. I didn't name a few. So if I'm missing some, Miramar, Pasadena Lakes, but speaking of those players that want to come play for Chaminade, how do they get in contact with a coach? Who can they email, just to say, hey, you know what, I'm interested in playing for the Chaminade program. How does it work, Coach?
Well, usually they just reach out to the schools because there's certain stuff that you got to do. Like if you're in 8th grade, you got to take some exams to get into the school. So they usually get in contact with the school. And then if you if you were in 9th and 10th grade, it's the same thing. You got to kind of get in contact with the school, do certain stuff to get into the school and stuff like that. But I'll say that the main thing, if you do want to come to Chaminade, you got to have good character. We big on good character, and you got to remember that you are a student athlete, not an athlete student. I mean, you got to make sure that you're ready to get your grades because we push that. Everything's done on the iPad. We pushing grades because football can only get you so far. Use football as a tool to get you further in life. To get you further in life. So that's just the main thing. But once you get in contact with the school, and all our stuff is on the website. I think it's chaminademadonna.org or cmlions.org, something like that. So you get in contact with them.
Absolutely, Coach. Appreciate that. And Coach, now to getting on the field, we talked about, your Christmas gifts with the state championship, another state championship. Congratulations on that. And we're going to talk about the Geico championship there at Bishop Gorman in Vegas. But, tell us about the season, Coach, and tell us how you thought the season went as it ended in another state championship, Coach. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, the season it was fun, but it was also draining because we had a big game every week. And when we first put out our schedule, a lot of people are like, Chaminade, what are y'all doing? Weekend we got, but Damon Jones is a great head coach. He just wanted to challenge. He knew he had a lot of good seniors on the defensive side. And he respects his staff. And his staff kind of wanted, if you ask any one of our staff, they always say, we want to play Lakeland. We want to play Venus. We want to play Central. We want to play. They always name the big teams, So Jones tries to do a good job coming around and get that schedule loaded, and it prepares you for the playoffs. So, it was a great season. But I'm going to tell you something. I think our most important game of the season actually was the game that we lost because it got us so much closer because we was up on American Heritage 17-3. Right. And then we got complacent again. And I don't know if you remember last year in the state championship game, the same thing happened. We jumped out on Trinity. I think we was up 16-0, kind of got complacent. And it's not all on the kids. It's on us too. So we had to take it as coaches. We had to do a better job on that. But I think even if we beat American Heritage, we probably have another hiccup because that game really woke us up, and from there, we just took off.
Yeah, I would say so, Coach. I think you ripped off 11 straight, if I'm not mistaken. And Coach, you talk about that strength of schedule. I really want to get into that because, man, I did the figures there, and it looks like the combined record for the teams on your schedule was 72-39, 72-39, and 73-39. And Coach, you played some of your best ball down the stretch. We're gonna get into that as well, but talk a little bit about that strength of schedule. You talked about playing Central and you talked about playing some of the bigger teams. You played a team in Georgia, you shut them out, right? And so a lot of those teams on your schedule went deep into the playoffs if they did not win a state championship. So talk a little bit about how it is to play big games and what that does for not only the staff, but, for the student athletes going further into the season and getting into the playoffs.
We love to challenge ourselves as a staff. And like I say, the schedule does challenge you. And we was blessed, like I say, to have some good defensive players. Because the one thing people like to say about Chaminade, we're a good team, but they always like to throw that 3A at you. Oh, they in 3A. Where everybody that really keeps up with the game know we play some of the best teams around. We'll play anybody. And you can see that by the strength of schedule. We had the toughest strength of schedule in Florida, and we had the highest RPI. We finished number 1 in the RPI at the end of the season. So out of the whole state, we had the highest RPI. And not only is it a compliment to the coaches, but the kids, because week in and week out, they had to be focused. Because it's not like, I'm talking about defense. It's not like we was playing the same type of spread offense. We made a play. Some teams that their base formation was 11 personnel. Sometimes it was 10 personnel. So they all had different schemes. And you have 3 days to 4 days to prepare for them. And they did a heck of a job preparing for it, So, and we want to kind of like when you have a good team, like if you're a fan, don't you want to see us play like Central, St. Thomas?
The best of the best. Yes.
The best of the best. A lot of these teams down here, they have loaded teams, but they don't want to play. They don't play. You understand? So I think we need to get the fans what they want to see, but everybody be so scared to lose. One thing about Jones, he's not scared to lose because he feels like even through a loss, you can learn something.
Absolutely. And I definitely want to shout out Coach Damon Jones over at head coach there at Chaminade High School. So big shout out to him, and he's been doing an excellent job through the years with Chaminade. And Coach, talking about staying on the defensive side, Coach, your defense, man, you and your coaches, you guys really tighten the screws down there in the playoffs, averaging giving up 5.4 points a game, if I have that right, in the playoffs. Man, talk a little bit about that playoff run. Coach, you didn't seem to know that, Coach.
No. I got to correct you because if somebody see you, they don't want to correct. Are you counting the Geico game as a playoff game?
I am not counting the Geico game. I'm counting just
right,
Florida.
Well, we only gave up 3 points the whole playoff run. So it was only 3 points. So the 5 points, you're let off with the 5 point. You close, but we only gave up 3 points the whole playoff. But it's just
Absolutely.
a testament to our kids, and like you said, the coaching staff, and they do a heck of a job preparing the kids for the game, and the kids are the coaches on the field during the game, because they line up and they make the adjustments and all that type of stuff during the game.
Right. And Coach, stand on that, and I kind of jib you on two points. I know it's definitely important. So 3 points a game, in the playoffs. But Coach, talk a little bit.
No, it went 3. It went to 3 points again. They only scored
3 points total.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
3 points total. 3 points total.
Yeah.
So, Coach, talk a little bit about that state championship, because you talked about, not finishing the job last year in 2020, but this year coming back and, keeping full throttle. Talk a little bit about how that game went for you. What did you see in the game, and how your defense responded to bring home another state championship for Chaminade?
Well, I know I'm hardest on myself, so I know this one thing. I went back to the first 4 state championships that we played in, and I noticed that we always gave up more points than we averaged. So I was a little disturbed by that, because I felt like, hold on now, these OCs out coaching me, because they always score more points on me than the defense allows. So I wanted to keep it up under what we was giving up, and going into that state championship, we was only giving up 8 points a game. So I wanted to keep it up under 8 points a game, and I let the kids know that. Yeah, but they was just locked in because they was so hurt. It was a lot of tears in that locker room last year when we lost to Trinity, who was a shout out to Trinity, who was a good team. They played for 48 minutes, which you should coach a team to do. And we only played 47 minutes. We played 47 minutes, and we lost the state championship. So the preparation that all the kids was locked in. And I always tell people this: good teams, the coaches lead. Good teams, the coaches lead. But elite teams, those seniors in that locker room, they're the leaders. They're the leaders. So a lot of times I didn't even have to say nothing. Like if they felt like practice was like a day ago, I didn't have to do the screaming. Those kids was getting the other kids locked in. So I was blessed to have that, and they was just locked in all week. And we picked up on a couple of keys that team did, and they was calling out. You could hear it from the sideline. They was calling it out, and I was very impressed with it. So shout out to them.
And Coach, real quick, kind of go back, harping on that, is the players. Some of these players, you talk about not wanting to get the seniors and things of that nature. You want kids to come in and kind of build through the program, right? And the manifestation of that is seeing players calling out the plays in the film session, being hard on the ones that are coming up, just teaching them the program, teaching them the Chaminade way, right? So talk a little bit about how you feel about that, Coach, and raising those boys to men to be leaders and going on to the next level. How does that feel, Coach, having that in your defense, in your huddle?
Yeah, it is, because when you get kids when they're not the 10th graders, man, they love the school. They have a sense of pride. It's blood, sweat, and tears. They shed so much blood, sweat, and tears on those fields with the conditioning and the practices on that field. So they take pride in your program. When the kid come over just for a senior year, usually you've been trying to get a state championship, which ain't bad. If he haven't been working out at school, or he's trying to get a better opportunity to get exposure for a college scholarship, which also is not bad. But I'm just saying, me, preference, I like younger guys, because I can mold them into the guys I want them to be, and I can envision them. So that's very important. And I'm harder on my 10th and 11th graders. Those are the ones I'm harder. By the time you become a senior, I'm a little soft on you, because it's your last year, and it's going to be kind of hard for me to see you go. I still get on you now, because I'm a fair coach. I still get on you. Right. But I'm hard on my 9th and 10th graders, because you can't let them get complacent, Right. And one thing about Jones, he runs a program, so not one man's bigger than the program. We have K2 that's going to Ohio State. When he was at the line this year, he was rolling the field. The last guy on the bench, if he's not playing, he's out of line, he's rolling that field. Everyone knows so when you have a program, the program runs itself. If they know they late, if they 1 minute late, they know they running. If they don't have on the right shorts, they know they running. So if you walking on the field, if you loafing on the field game day, you know you running. So you just want to make sure that you get them young and you kind of mold them into the kids that you want them to be.
Right. And Coach, talking about that, real quick, and it's no wonder that you have, high profile programs, college programs coming after the kids there at the student athletes there at Chaminade, because you guys preach accountability, right? Respect, accountability, and make sure you're doing it right the first time and not the second time, right? So that's just a major shout out to the coaching staff there at Chaminade.
Another thing we preach too, Coach, I cut you off, is integrity. So integrity is, if you messed up on the field, don't be saying that you didn't mess up because the iron is kind of light. Let's go ahead and let us know that you messed up so we can correct it now. You understand? Right. So, and that's the same thing with coaches, have integrity, Okay.
Absolutely. And Coach, getting back on that defense real quick, your defense has been one of the best defenses in the state and the nation as well. And, not only you talked about having the good players come in, but also, what do you attribute that to, Coach, as far as having one of the best defenses, not only in the state of Florida, but also the nation year in and year out? What do you attribute that to, Coach?
Well, the first thing we do, I just got the phone with my coaches by a couple of days ago. We're going to have a meeting in January, and we're going to review ourselves, what we did wrong. Like this year, we was bad on fourth. We was terrible on fourth down. We was terrible on fourth down and third and long. We regressed in getting interceptions. We usually average between 17 and 22 interceptions a year. For some reason, we only had 9 interceptions this year. And we also want to know what we was weak at, as far as a team was attacking us a lot on slants this year. So we have to fix that. So you always got to know what your weakness is and how teams are trying to attack you. So you always got to be the hardest on yourself and what you gave up the year before. So I think that helps us be good year in and year out. And we look around to see what other coaches are doing as well. I could tell you what St. Thomas like to do. I could tell you what Central like to do. American Heritage like to blitz. They'll cover 0 team. St. Thomas like to blitz off the edge. Central, they play some zone, but they'll bring heat as well. Northwestern, they bringing that pressure. I look at the best defenses throughout the state, and I compare. What they're doing good and what they're doing well. Another thing I'll do, I don't have enough pride where I could pick up the phone and call Otis Reagan over at Plantation. That's on, hey, Otis, yeah. Otis helped me a lot with the zone blitzes, man. Hey, man, how you do this? I could pick up the phone and call Coach Coleman that was down there at, I think it was Dave Christian this year. So I'm always doing that. When Herman Lovett was down at Hollandale, I asked him because he's good with the 50 front. So I'll call him, hey, or if they play another team that I may play, hey, man, what they gave you problems with? I'm just trying to be the best. I'm just trying to get an edge. I'm trying to find the edge. So that's just the main thing. The all season, come January, we reviewing everything. We lost to Harris. You're going back. Why did we lose to Harris? We know we had a couple busts, but what happened that game?
Right.
And we also, as soon as that schedule come out, as soon as the schedule come out, how many seniors they got coming back? Is the offensive coordinator still over there? Are they still running the same play? It don't start in no goddamn August with us or the week we about to play the team. We already breaking down film.
Right. Absolutely. And Coach, that's, now we get to see, for the fans and followers, college coaches we get to see why the players are so good, because it starts from the top. And you talk about just coaching year round. That's what it sounds like to me, is you're coaching year round. You just finished up, the state championship and Geico championship there. And now you're already talking about getting back in the lab and getting even better. So that's awesome to hear. And Coach, as we talk about that Geico championship series, talk a little bit about that. As far as, going out to Vegas, playing at Bishop Gorman, just tell us what was the experience like and being able to come home with another trophy.
And it was great. It was great for our players. Some of them, it was their first time going out to state. Some of them, it was their first time getting on the plane. So it was a beautiful experience with them. Now, our players, no slight to Highland, they was a good team, but they thought we was playing either Bishop Gorman or they thought we was going to play Sequoia. I think they was the 13th ranked team in the nation. They really was looking forward to playing them. But we ended up playing Highland, who was a pretty good team. They had a good offensive mindset. So it was a challenge. The only thing challenge with us, we only got like 2-3 hours of practice that week because The kids had exams, and then we had to get on those flights. And then when we got out over to Vegas, they had so much stuff set up for us. We really couldn't game plan like that. And you saw that with the first quarter. It was kind of ugly for us the first quarter. Yeah. But once our kids calmed down and settled down,
they locked in.
They locked in, yeah.
That's right. Absolutely.
And if you watch the game, it was kind of some of my younger players, they was lining up wrong. And our seniors, you know, I tried to get on. I was walking to get on them, but the seniors had them already. Like, hey, man, pay attention. And that's the good thing about having seniors that's been in your program so long. They create the younger guys who's going to be the leaders next.
Right. And Coach, you know, talk about more developing those student athletes there to go on to Power 5 schools and whatever school that they may choose to go to. You know, what do you try to get across to the student athletes as you break down film and watching the opponent and trying to game plan? How do you teach the film to the student athletes? Because, you know, everybody learns differently, right? So, you know, how do you teach the film and how do you break down the film to the student athletes so that it's simplified for them and they can go out and make plays on Fridays or on Saturdays?
Well, you know, obviously in the spring, what we teach it in the spring is we put together our whole playbook, all right? And we let the kids know, okay, all these players that we're running right now, each week, we're not going in with this whole big playbook. We're going to chop it down to about 5 or 6 plays that week. So those are plays you're going to have to know, all right? So when I get in on Monday with the film session, we cut on the film. We're going to review what we did wrong the previous game. So we got to correct that. And we let them know, okay, we did this. We was exposed last week on this. So you better believe somewhere in this game plan, that offensive coordinator is going to try to expose us in that area.
Come back to it. Yep.
Yeah, there you go. So then for the opponent that week, what we do is we break down their best formation and their best plays out those formations. What's their best run plays? What's the best pass game? And then based on that, we're going to put the coverages in to stop the pass routes that they like to do. And if we have to do some run blitzes and stuff like that or some zone blitzes, we'll make sure we put that in. So the main thing the kids have to focus on that week is the main formations that team likes to run and what plays we're going to call. And who's going to start that week is based on who can remember the game plan the best.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Always competition. Because if you bust it, I don't have it where a kid will start and Monday. Okay, so and we say this. Monday is where we're gonna get some bust through the walkthrough. Tuesday, we may get a little better bust. Wednesday and Thursday, we better be looking sharp. Now, if overall as a defense, if a play that we calling that week don't look good, I tell the coaches we scrapping it. We're not even gonna run it. You know, because sometimes they want to come with some exotic blitzes or stuff like that. We ain't even running it. We might bust that. So, but the kids definitely got to know the formation and stuff. We can't be busting that because if you busting it, you're not playing that well. You can play, but you might be playing when I'm running man to man because that's easy. You just follow your man. Yeah.
Okay. And Coach, you know, you talked about, you know, having a schedule stacked, right? And you know, what is your approach to a big game, whether it be, you know, out of state game, you went up to Georgia, you went out to Vegas, the state championship game. So what is your approach to a big game, and does your approach change whether it be a big game or not a big game? And how do you see it, Coach? How do you game plan?
Man, every game we game plan the same. You know, you look even. I don't care if you're playing an O&T team. You got to try to find an edge. You know, because you got to remember if it's an O&T team, this is their Super Bowl. Them beating Chaminade is their Super Bowl. You know, so you got to get. So you look for any good thing that O&T team do good. You got to emphasize that all week. Now, with the out-of-town games, it's a little different because you lose a day of practice sometimes, you know, with the travel and stuff. So you got to really be on your P's and Q's. That's when film going to be very important and stuff like that. And Jones, sometimes I have an extra day of practice earlier in the week, or he'll let us practice a little longer because usually our practice is only an hour and 30 minutes, hour and 45 minutes because he always wants his coaches to go home and spend time with the family and stuff like that. You know, healthy relationships at home. Brings out better coaches on the field and stuff like that. So he's a strong believer in that. That's one reason I like coaching at Chaminade, because I still get to spend a lot of time. But it's no different game to game, whether it's out of state, because earlier in my coaching career, I would emphasize it too much and I would always overthink. So I would have to learn. I had to learn from that. You know, I had to calm down and just treat every game almost the same. And going back to what I said earlier, maybe that's one of the reasons why in the state championship games, I gave up more points than I usually do.
And Coach, talking about those athletes, we talked about some incoming freshmen or whoever may want to transfer, whatever it may be, that they may find themselves wanting to come to Chaminade. Off season, you talked about how important it is. What do student athletes need to focus on in the off season as they prepare for the upcoming season? What do you tell your student athletes?
Right now, we'll go through as coaches again in that January meeting, and every kid that's coming back, we just got to realize what their weaknesses were. Some of them have to gain weight, some of them have to get faster, some of them have to get better in the classroom far mentally and stuff like that. So we'll try to get on the board to make sure they know their playbook a little better. But that's just the main thing. Anything that you're weak at, you want to kind of make that a strength. Lateral movement, using the hands if you're on the defensive line, controlling your gap. Get stronger in your lower body, get stronger in your upper body. That goes back to having good coaches that know their players and know their weaknesses. Make them strengths by time August comes.
And talking about those players, Coach, we hate to put you on the spot, but we definitely got to ask the fans or followers, college coaches want to know, specific players, any underclassmen, any rising seniors or juniors that we need to be on the lookout for. Looks like you got some. Go ahead and share it with us, Coach.
You talking about defense or offensively?
Give us what you got. We take defense, we take offense, but specifically defense. Go ahead, Coach.
Davion Gauss is Bullet. He's amazing. Jeremiah Smith, he's a receiver. DeAndre Doofus, I think, is the best offensive lineman in the state. You got Elvin. Elvin's another good offensive lineman. And on the defensive side, Edwin too. Edwin Joseph, another receiver he's lights out. I don't want to miss nobody. That's why I'm trying to go slow as possible. Denzel Johnson, he a 10th grader, man. I think he's the best 2024 linebacker in the state, and I'm not just saying that. I got Gino. He's my other linebacker. Zaquan Patterson may be the best athlete in the class of 2024, and I'm not just saying that either. And then I got a let me see who else on me. D'Angelo Pons, Chris Ewald, class of 2025 corner. Be on the lookout for me. He played a lot last year. Yeah, he played a lot last year. Then I got Wayne. There's so many of them, man. That's what we like because at Chaminade we play so many freshmen and sophomores. Bryce, my defensive end, Bryce. And I'm sorry, guys, if I miss y'all watch it, but Coach Joe love y'all, man. I'm trying to think of who else back there. But that's just some of the Kurt, I got a defensive back, Curtis. Johnville, he's good. So got a lot on. So we're excited about next year. Real excited about next year.
Right, and it sounds like you got a stacked team coming back, Coach. But talking a little bit.
We was a small school. We was a small 3A school in Hollywood. That's all we got. So we blessed, though. We blessed. We are blessed.
Absolutely. And Coach, talking about, we know you definitely want to come back again next year and win a state championship. But I definitely have to ask, what are the goals for next season, for the defense, for the team overall, for you? What are the goals coming into the new season, Coach?
Number one goal really is just to be, raise men. You may think we joking when we say this, raise respectful men. One thing, the most important, I ain't say this about the Las Vegas trip. Everywhere we went, to the restaurants, to the airport, they was like, the kids are so respectable. Y'all got some respectable kids. Because you don't hear that much no more. No. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes. They saying that Jones pick them up, no pants hanging down. So we just want to teach them that first, just how to be respectful young men. Then number two is just teaching them the game of football and hopefully, winning one game at a time. Just one game at a time. And through that, like you said earlier, we get better in the playoffs, but it starts in the regular season, correcting those mistakes throughout the season and trusting your coaches. And me trusting my coaches as well, because I remember I ran a blitz against Edison. Man, I had my coach upstairs. He was like, "Coach Joe, why you blitz? Don't blitz, coach. I ain't blitz no more." And, that made my coaches feel empowered. They know that I trust them and what they say, it means a lot to me, and I'm going to trust them. We're a team.
Right. Absolutely. And coach, speaking more specifically on you, I definitely have to ask you, because man, when I say one of the best defenses in the state of Florida and also, the nation, like I said, Max Prell's got you guys ranked at number 24, I believe, in the nation finishing up the season. But coach, you've been at the top of your game consistently for years right now, right? For some time now. Do you aspire? I got to put you on the spot now. Do you aspire to coach collegiately?
It always crosses my mind. Remember, I stated earlier that I never saw myself coaching. My boy Rob Parker just asked me to come out and volunteer one day, and I fell in love with it. But by the time I jumped into it, I was already 29 years old. So now I'm sitting at 41 years old. I got a family, 3 young kids, and I know how that college coaching. And one of my college coaches, he used to come down when he used to recruit our kids at Dillon. He told me never get into it because of the travel, you're away from your family. He missed kids' birthdays, graduation. So, but it's always in the back of my mind. So that's something that me and my wife would definitely have to talk about if the opportunity presented itself, and it just have to be the right situation. Because I respect all the coaches at the college level, man. We got Quinn Grady went to Dillon, Terriana Morgan. Those guys are doing great jobs. And I always try to keep up with them, and they opening up the gates for guys like myself. So, something reasonable presented itself, I may jump out there, but right now it's just all about the family and stuff.
Right. And I'm gonna push you a little bit on that, coach. And I have to, speaking about it's in the back of your mind. So that sounds like a scratch you need to an itch you need to scratch it eventually, But if there are any college coaches, interested in your services, just if you can give us an email address or how could they contact you, coach? You want to put your email address out there if there are any coaches that are interested in your services?
Yeah, absolutely. You can always reach me at Joe Ballard Jr. at gmail.com, and that's Joe Ballard Jr. as in the junior at gmail.com. And I'm quick to get back to my emails and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely.
All right. And coach, as we wrap it up here, coach, is there anything further that you would like to say on behalf of yourself or the Chaminade Program? We really appreciate you coming on, but we're going to open the floor up to you, your fans, your followers, anything you would like to say.
I would like to say something to the state of Florida. I think state of Florida, y'all need to definitely help the coaches out down here and get them a better pay, not only definitely in the public school system. I know I'm private, but definitely get those guys in the public school system, higher pay. They do a heck of a job, and it's year round. You're losing a lot of good coaches because of the pay. We talking about $2,500 coaching stipend. Give these guys, a raise, because it's hard to tell someone to coach year around for a $25 stipend. You know what most of that money goes? It goes back to the kids. Back to the players. Yep. Yeah, it goes back to the players. So I definitely want to say that first. And then I also want to give a shout out to all the coaches that's still out here coaching, whether you're on the state championship programs or you're not, just being mentors. I never won a state championship in high school, but Ken Scott means so much to me because how he raised me and taught me how to be a man. So sometimes I know you may be down thinking that you're doing this all for nothing, but remember, even if you get across to one kid and you kept him off the streets or you made him go to college and push forward, you're doing something. And sometimes that's even more than a paycheck, So that's just some of the things I like to say, because there's a lot of great coaches out there, but they, it seems like every year we losing a different coach. They don't want to coach no more because it's a lot of time,
Yes. Yeah. Yes, indeed. And coach, I definitely want to piggyback on that as far as, what I want to say is if there are any high school coaches or whatever it may be, maybe little league coaches that want to be mentored by you, I don't want to put your services out there to everybody, but it looks like you're able to reach out to, several coaches and learn from them. Are those coaches able to learn from you? Can they hit you on your email or anything like that?
Yeah, please do, man. Like I told you earlier, man, who I became today, I got so many people, like I said, once again, Otis Reagan, Herman Lovett, David Coleman, Coach Monroe, Coach Scott, all those helped me. Coach Davis, A lot of them helped me. Coach Marcus Face, I don't want to leave nobody out because all of them helped me learn the game of football. And I always want to give back to other people. I'm not no selfish coach thinking I know everything, but I'm always trying to teach and help and empower other coaches because pride could kill a lot of people. Oh, I know everything. Nah, come out, reach out, and like I'll probably reach out to you for some stuff, man. If I go to a little league game and I see a coach doing something, I ask that little league DC, hey man, can you tell me what you're doing right now, man? Because I want to put that in my playbook, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know. So I'm always willing to give my services to anybody that that needs it. Matter of fact, I'm meeting with a coach and a player tomorrow at 11 o'clock just to go over some game planning and stuff like that. So I'm a football junkie.
Right. We see that. We see that, Coach. It's in your blood through and through. So, and Coach, again, we greatly appreciate you joining us here on the Athletes Grind, presented to you by 5-Star Athletics. Coach, we wish you a great season, wish you a great off season. Hopefully we get a chance to talk to you again. You're a wealth of knowledge. And we really appreciate what you're doing out there at Chaminade with not only the coaches, but also the student athletes. Thank you so much, Coach. You have a great night. Go ahead, Coach.
Can I ask you one more
Absolutely.
question? Do you ever come to any of the games? Like, do you do like any? I don't know if you follow football. What teams do you follow throughout the year?
Yeah, so I really follow the public schools, Coach. You have South Broward out there, Ballard, all of the Broward County teams. I've been to a couple Central games. So I have not been to one of you guys' games as of yet, but I definitely want to get out there. When you guys played Carl Newman, I was talking to, I'm not even going to mention his name, but I saw him in the barbershop, and he said that he has something for your defense. And then it turns out you guys beat him 51-0, I believe. So I
hope the kid don't play running back. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell you a quick story about that. That's the type of motivation I look for, because a couple people hit my phone saying that, oh man, the running back daddy's just talking such and such, such and such. I like, really? So that'd be bulletin board material for my defense. So I go back into the defense. Hey, the running back daddy say this and that. It just be bull. Hey, any little thing y'all say, we use it for motivation over at the Nod. So that is what it is, man. But it's a beautiful thing, though.
Right. And that was actually the game that I was supposed to come to it, but I had some family come in town. So we was talking about the game, and that's exactly what happened. And I'll say, oh man, Joe did it again. Throwing that defense did it again. So but Coach, go ahead, Coach.
I want to tell you, man, I appreciate you, checking out the public schools and stuff. But if you ever get a chance, on the off week, or if there's no games going on that week, come check us out, man. We'll love to have you. Your presence, man.
Absolutely, Coach, and I appreciate that. I definitely will be out.
I don't want to keep cutting you out, but can I say something about the public schools one more time?
Absolutely. The floor is yours, Coach.
The administration at the public schools need to, I feel like in Broward County, especially, we hear like only the private schools are winning in public schools. I mean, the public schools getting washed out.
Right.
It have to be consistencies within the coaching ranks at the public schools. If you see like Plantation, they win all the time because Steve Davis been up there all the time. Fife was at Deerfield for so long. Correct. Winning program. Tate is at Dillard. He's going to build that program if they give him a chance. Give him a chance. Rome wasn't built overnight. You understand? Yep. So get them a chance, because if you see in the public schools, those coaches been there a long time. Carter Gibbons coach been there a long time. St. Thomas coach, Heritage, and Damon Jones been there a long time. So you got to give those guys a chance and believe in them. And I think that you'll start seeing public schools winning state championships again in Broward County if you do that. And also the pay won't help. The pay won't help either.
Right. And Coach, and speaking of that, I definitely want to have you back on again and talk more about that, because that's a big topic, around not only, I would say Broward County, but, the country right now, as far as private schools versus public schools. So I definitely want to talk to you about that at another time, and hopefully we can do that. Yeah. So soon as you want to break on some public schools and private schools, because I think that's a good conversation to definitely have, because they think we still their kids, but it's not. I mean,
we'll get on that one once.
Right.
Once we bring it up. 'Cause it's like you said, that's a whole nother subject. So
Right. Yeah. And as Deion Sanders said, the kid never belonged to you. So,
yeah. There you go.
Exactly. But we'll let you go tonight, Coach, and hopefully we can set something up again. We'll be in contact with you again. Thank you so much, Coach. Coach Joe Ballard, defensive coordinator, Chaminade Madonna High School. 3 out of the last 4 years, state champs, Geico Series championship. Coach, great job. You take care of yourself. We'll be in touch. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Have a good night.
You too.